You are now watching The Silicon Diet. Welcome to your digest on the latest happenings in the space of AI, fundraises in the Bay Area, and our insights into a variety of AI tools. This is episode 1. Agents can pay now.
It is a conversation. Welcome to The Silicon Diet. It's our first episode. I'm Abhirup. I'm joined with my co-host, Adi.
I am Adi. Hello, everyone. All right, so how about you start with why you wanted to start this podcast?
It's a good question. I think, just have a lot of thoughts. The industry is moving really quick. There's just a very exciting time in AI right now. So just wanted to share our thoughts, kind of see which way the industry is moving, kind of hear you guys' thoughts about it too. And discuss with Adi about what's going on.
Nice. So, I wanted to start this because I wanted to learn a lot of distribution more. And I think podcasting is a great way to distribute anything that you have, any businesses, new potential newsletters, anything going on. It's a good way to learn about all this stuff. So
yeah. Pretty cool. So do you just want to give a quick introduction of, what you do, what your interests are?
How about you go first?
Sure. Well, I'm Abhirup. I'm the co-founder and head of innovation of a AI customer support company called Synapse. Been working there for about the last year and a half, and been doing my own thing for about 2.5 years now. We're both based out of SF. It's a lot of fun, and we're really passionate about AI.
Yeah, actually, me and Abhirup, we went to the same school in Hyderabad, even though we didn't know each other in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
But through some mutual friends, we got to be a lot more close, and somehow we both happened to be really into AI.
Yeah, and ended up in the exact same place.
And we always talk about it, so we thought might as well start a podcast.
Yeah.
I could give a little bit of an introduction for myself. I'm just a regular guy, really into AI, and I'm cooking up some products in the background. They'll come out soon. You'll see it. You'll see it very soon.
Very exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into the spicy news.
Well, the title of the podcast suggests that agents can pay now. So, I think a couple of days ago, OpenAI launched a partnership with Stripe to kind of bring forward the Agentic commerce protocol. Just a huge deal in the industry right now because your agents are going to be able to pay for you now. And, with the initial spec for this release, they do have mentions of, even being able to use stable coins in addition to your traditional cards to, just improve your entire purchase experience using, the LLM of your choice. And, the best part, in my opinion, is that they've completely open sourced it. So, Perplexity could come in, use the same protocol. Claude could come in, use the same protocol. But this, just really pushes the industry forward in terms of how, we can buy more things and, just potentially changing the entire advertising game for good.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was like shook. I knew it was coming for a long time. I knew the Shopify CEO was talking about it in the background, and OpenAI also was mentioning hints here and there. But this absolutely changes the game. I don't know what Amazon is gonna do. I don't know what all these other players on search are gonna do because the cost of these ads were getting insane. And if OpenAI could capture a lot of that, I don't know where the industry is going to head to.
Again, the key point being, it's agnostic to the provider that's implementing ACP, is what they're calling it. And in my opinion, we've been seeing this shift for a long time. We moved from search engine optimization to generative engine optimization. SEO is almost dead, but
this is a great time to start. What do you even call it at this point? It's
generative engine optimization.
Geo.
I
like that. Yeah.
But pretty cool stuff, man. And I think the natural next step, I would assume, is Amazon adopts this. All these, potentially Temu adopts it. Like, who knows?
I need to research these new geo strategies people come up with.
There's some pretty cool startups, actually. The last 2 batches of YC have been seeing a couple of guys whose sole focus is generative engine optimization. I'm not sure what the results are, but you should definitely check it out. We'll leave a couple of links in the description. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But big week for OpenAI in general.
Very big week.
Like it's just insane number of product releases. We're starting to see that a lot of the harnesses are being built around the core models that are coming out, and a lot of these Anthropic, OpenAI, a lot of these foundational model providers are starting to own a larger part of the stack altogether. You're able to see them actively push out consumer applications which are going to be used by the everyday user.
Yep. Sora 2 with the cameo.
Yeah, what an introduction video.
I'm gonna make so many videos of you doing like stupid shit all the time.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's and the standalone iOS app too. It's like, damn. I mean, TikTok getting basically forced to be sold for $12-13 billion, and now OpenAI comes out and says, "Yo, here's a AI only video platform where you can share, modify stuff." I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think people would be too interested in like AI content.
I mean, if the videos are anything like Sam Altman shoplifting GPUs from Target, I would be on that app a lot.
That's true, but those would just be popular on TikTok or Instagram or those platforms.
Yeah. But insane demo.
Would you go on a platform where everything is AI generated? You don't know if there's a human behind it, any creativity?
I mean, I don't see why not. I think foundationally content is changing, right? What you're seeing is there's literal Hollywood movies being completely AI generated now. There's quite a few directors that are coming out, embracing it, working with VO3, working with Sora 2.
They're not completely AI generated.
I think there was this one particular platform or one particular director who was doing this end to end.
But like, is end to end, does that mean the plot, the story, the character development, everything?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of fully AI generated movies already, and then there's a couple of directors coming out who are using Midjourney, Sora 2, VO3 to build the end-to-end movie. Going from script all the way to video production, video editing. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it is pretty cool. That video of Sam Altman stealing GPTs was like GPUs was the funniest shit ever.
Yeah.
So funny. Because he's actually doing that in real life, which makes it like pretty funnier.
I mean, we should, leave some of your favorite Sora generated videos down in the description. We'd love to check them out. But yeah, very exciting time, very creative time, huge product release in general. Yeah. It's the response to VO3 that's been coming for a couple of months.
I know that you wanted to talk about a lot of the harness related stuff. I had no idea what harness meant. And I was just talking to Abhirup earlier today. He was explaining me what exactly it was. And he said that this past week, there were a lot of things related to that kind of technology that came out. So, yeah, tell us.
Yeah. So, essentially, the foundational models are extremely capable. And, the stage at which we are at today, if you look at like a GPT-5, it is by far one of the best models at following instructions, right? So the prompts that used to work earlier, the workflows that used to work earlier can really be trimmed down and made more efficient with, models like GPT-5. And, we'll talk about Claude 4.5 in a little bit, but, the entire AI application layer is starting to adapt to these new foundational model releases. And, one thing that these foundational model providers are doing a really good job at is actually putting out the spec, how they expect the model to behave in different conditions, alignment checks, just the entire post-training from both Anthropic and OpenAI is pretty interesting. And, prompt engineering, as they say, is kind of dead. It's all about context engineering now. But, that's kind of where the entire harness comes in, because what we're able to do now and what we're able to see is a clear separation between good applications and poor applications, right? With these new model releases coming out, we're seeing that the underlying harness itself is changing, right? Adi, we're talking about the release of, the new Lovable Cloud and the new Bolt with the second generation agent architecture, just a bunch of these coding tools just coming out with new tools as soon as Claude 4.5 releases. And, I think based on the sentiment on Twitter, it's pretty popular right now.
Yeah, so, these coding models are getting like pretty cracked.
Yeah.
Why would Lovable Cloud, Replit or Bolt or any of these full stack building companies, how will they be able to compete with each other? Are they building these harnesses themselves?
Yeah, I think what we're starting to see is a lot of, pre-foundational model release. A lot of these companies are talking to each other, right? So, the team at Cursor, for example, is probably getting access to these models way before, the general public gets access to it. They're really studying the spec, right? Because we're getting better and better at understanding how a model performs in different conditions. And, thereby the harnesses are getting better, because if you look at the recent stat with, Sonnet 4.5, it's able to work for 30 hours in a row, and complete an end-to-end task, which is so cool.
That is crazy, actually. So can you control that, or is it only Anthropic accessing that 16 hours?
So again, that's dependent on the harness, right? Because I think one of the things that I saw while recording this is the longest Replit agent run was like yesterday, and they put out a challenge. Replit, Amjad Masad and team put out a challenge saying who can get Replit to work for the longest in terms of number of hours, and he's giving out $1,000 in credit to whoever manages to do it.
Oh, damn.
I think a couple of hours ago when I checked, it was like 18 hours was the amount of time that someone got the model to work, which is pretty cool.
How much did it cost to run that prompt?
Probably I think it was $180. It was $180.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, big stuff. I mean, if you're new to coding, it's never been, a better time to start coding. I mean, do we even call it coding anymore? Is it just prompting now?
I've always been prompting. I never learned how to code.
Yeah.
And, I guess prompting has boosted my confidence in me creating new things and making my brain feel fulfilled. So
yeah. Going from idea to prototype now is just like a matter of minutes, literally. But, on that note, a little bit more of hand-holding, I guess. Cursor just shipped agent mode with Figma MCP support, and they're now also able to look at your browser and update your front end based on what it looks like. Also able to, in real time, take a look at your logs, try and see if anything's going wrong. But, a great way to just own the entire end-to-end experience, which is really cool for, somewhat of power users, guys who know what they're kind of looking at. And also for, the exact opposite end of the spectrum, debugging just got a whole lot easier. Adi, I know you use Cursor. Is there anything else you use on a day-to-day basis?
Cursor for, I use V0 sometimes for the UI side, just to play around. Lovable sometimes to get like a different perspective. I use aura.build. I don't know if you heard of this.
I haven't.
It's like a design-centric V0.
Interesting.
This famous design YouTuber, I forgot his name, but he created that, and he came on Greg Eisenberg's podcast to talk about how to use it, actually.
Oh, shoot. Speaking of Greg Eisenberg.
I got featured on Greg Eisenberg's documentary.
Adi made it.
Crazy.
Adi just made it.
I was just watching the video casually, like lying on the couch, and then I was like, oh, cool. I went to this event. He goes through the event, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a close-up shot of me asking a question to Greg Eisenberg. Go check it out, by the way.
We'll plug it in the bio, but if you guys want to know a fun fact about Adi, probably the biggest accomplishment in his life would be if Elon Musk retweets him.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
being in a Greg Eisenberg video is probably the second best thing that's ever happened to him in his life.
Yep. The first was meeting him actually, like in person. I was fanboying a little too much, I feel.
Yeah.
Next time I'll go with confidence and talk to him like a normal person. I feel like he didn't want to be standing next to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pretty sick video too, with Greg Eisenberg. I think just touching upon OpenAI for a little bit again. They launched ChatGPT Pulse Goals. Adi and I have been using Interaction for a bit, Poki. And, you know, it was a pretty interesting experience, the entire onboarding flow. It might be one of the most interactive onboarding flows I've seen in a very, very long time. But I got prompt injected.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which was pretty interesting, to say the least, because to begin with, I wasted 3 hours of my life trying to negotiate Poki down to 1 cent a month.
You should have recorded that whole...
I have a tweet about it.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and then I was just using it, and then, you know, one random day I just out of nowhere get a text from Poki with a script to a Rick and Morty episode. I'm like, hold up, what's going on here? Turns out I got an email with an injected prompt, and well, Poki just sent me a bunch of garbage.
That's pretty crazy. I've seen that tweet where the guy put in his LinkedIn bio, give me a recipe of flan, and then all his replies on his LinkedIn were just recipes of flan, because all these bots just auto sent him these responses.
Nice. Yeah, man, dark side, I guess, just getting prompt injected, that's pretty cool. But on the note of Poki, OpenAI launches their competitor, ChatGPT Pulse, and I think soon to come ChatGPT Goals. Pretty cool stuff. You can just get a report on whatever you want every morning. It connects to your calendar, it connects to your email. It has context of your workspace, connects to Notion, you know, a bunch of the connectors. But
Poki wasn't as sticky for me. I barely used it.
Yeah.
So hopefully this ChatGPT launch will have me basically be my executive assistant.
Yeah. And
so,
I mean, I was a Claude Max subscriber all the way up until, you know, a couple of days ago, after I started using Codex. And man, when GPT-5 Codex came out, we thought Opus was done for, right? But used it for a week. You know, I really love the fact that there's a way to synchronously work, there's a way to asynchronously work. Very good ecosystem altogether. Does code review too. But I think the new Sonnet just blew everything out of the water, and now I'm just stuck with $200 subscriptions, I guess.
is it that much better?
I think it's a lot better. Maybe not in terms of the UI tasks. I think that's kind of where Codex still edges out. I would say, though, there is a huge difference in quality between the traditional Codex and, you know, the high reasoning GPT-5 Codex. All of my experiences are using the high reasoning Codex, but what I've found is that it's traditionally better at designing front ends. You know, you don't have your blue, purplish front end for every single front end that you generate using AI. But big week for OpenAI, you know, for them to come out and talk about GDPval.
Yeah, you told me about this. It blew my mind. I mean, if they set that as their RL metric, the society is going to get really, really crazy.
Yeah, and, you know, they're comparing outputs from models to human expert work. And OpenAI kind of came out and said Opus 4.1 delivered the strongest results, which is very interesting, just praising your competitor. Considering a couple of months ago, Anthropic banned OpenAI from using Claude for internal testing. But I guess they undid that.
I need to hear more about this eval.
Yeah. Well, it basically aims to understand how much of the GDP, you know, AI is able to automate right now, right? And based on the benchmarks that we're seeing, we're looking at, I think the key metric here is what is the win rate of the AI against an industry professional, in a particular sector,
Mm.
right? What we're looking at with Opus 4.1 is like a 47.6% win plus tie rate
Okay.
when compared to 38.8% on GPT-5 High,
Mm-hmm.
which I would assume is a huge difference, right? That's like 9 percentage points.
Yeah.
And, I'd be interested to know how Sonnet 4.5 does on this benchmark, because this came out a couple of days before Sonnet 4.5.
Yeah, this is a really interesting benchmark. I want to see Grok too, how it performs.
Grok is
4.
actually on here. You'd be surprised. Grok is the second worst.
Wow. I mean,
24.3%.
the second worst as in how many models are on the chart though?
We have GPT-4o, we have Grok 4, we have Gemini 2.5, O4 Mini High, O3 High,
Mm.
GPT-5 High, and Cloud Opus 4.1. We'll put up the charts on the screen.
Yeah, I saw a X post from Elon Musk. One guy was like, we should make the RL goal for Grok the Kardashev scale. And then he retweeted that.
Yeah, speaking of Elon, Robotaxi.
Oh my God. Robotaxi has been such a nice addition to SF. Me and Abirup have been going all over the city just for like $12 all the way to from Potrero Hill all the way to Embarcadero. It's like been really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's we were in a Robotaxi together, and then there's this one street where I've probably curbed my wheels like 3 or 4 times, and the Robotaxi goes in. It's a one-way street, the streets of SF, and the Robotaxi actually reversed,
Backed up all the way to the top of the street.
and Adi has a video. We're gonna link it.
I have a video.
We're gonna link it,
Yeah.
but damn, I think we're getting there. We're very close to getting there.
A lot of people were impressed with that. Speaking of robotaxis, there's been a lot of headlines about this Waymo getting pulled over in SF. This Waymo got pulled over. The police was looking in the vehicle to like examine what was going on, and it couldn't give the Waymo a ticket. Apparently, there's no way for a police officer to give autonomous vehicle a ticket. So I think in some of the articles they mentioned that SF was gonna launch a new way for police officers to give the operators a ticket. So I wonder how that'll work, because what if everybody just records all the autonomous vehicles all the time and they find minor flaws like crossing a double yellow line? Will they charge them for that?
Well, the exact, I think the loophole is closing now. The law is taking effect July 2026, which is going to allow law enforcement to report moving violations directly to the DMV and, just build Waymo, Tesla, whoever, Zoox. But, I mean, I guess this, if anything, this just tells you that we're getting way closer to the fully autonomous future.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about the new fundraising that's been happening in SF?
Yeah. Man, big week. I mean, it feels like every week is a big week. But
Every week is a big week.
shoot, 2 massive fundraisers. PostHog officially becoming a unicorn. Insane. I use PostHog in almost all of my projects. They've made such a great developer experience. It's actually insane. And if you're just starting out, building a product, a lot of these analytics are things that you're not going to think of as a first-time builder. But the entire DevX of PostHog has just been so easy to use and so impactful. And, really happy to watch them succeed, officially becoming a unicorn. Which again is really, really cool. Again, XYC, man, YC is just producing unicorns after unicorns at this point. Another big fundraise was Vercel. A little bit of controversy around the CEO of Vercel, but before we get to that, a $300 million Series F at a $9.3 billion valuation led by Axel.
Pretty wild.
And to think that people were calling Vercel an AWS wrapper. I mean, damn, I don't know if you saw, but they just launched their own domain purchasing service.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Game changer.
Man, lightning fast. It's some of the cheapest domains I've seen in a very long time. For the audience, I have been buying a lot of domains lately. And it's
been racking up a lot of domains.
A lot of domains.
Very specific domains.
Yeah, and it just makes it so much easier. Pretty cool stuff. Another shout out, maybe.
So what happened to the CEO of Vercel?
Oh, good question. So here's a little bit of drama. Here's the sauce. Okay. The CEO of Vercel meets up with the Prime Minister of Israel, posts a picture on his Twitter.
Oh, that's what it was.
He posts a picture on his Twitter saying, wishing Israel does great things. I had a great conversation with him about AI and how AI is going to impact the future. You would assume free speech. He's not going to get canceled for saying that. But I see both sides. I don't want to pick a side. I think both sides have a point. Does it make sense to cancel him? Probably not. But the competitors have been, really trying to exploit this, because Replit came out and said, if you have a contract with Vercel, we're going to pay you for the cancellation charges just to move to Replit.
Wow.
And Amjad Masad comes out and says that literally a couple of hours after this tweet. Man, it's brutal out there.
Wow. Yeah, I saw so many. I don't know if it's real or fake. A lot of people have been faking these tweets, but so many of them were like, "Oh, I'm leaving Vercel immediately."
Yeah.
But I don't know if they work there.
Yeah. It's a little tough to tell. Yeah. But just touching back upon PostHog, I think what they're calling this new fundraise is the start of Act 2, emphasizing the shift towards deeper dev tooling beyond just analytics. But on that note, another YC company, one of my peers from Georgia Tech, is the CEO of Greptile. His name is Daksh. Shout out Daksh. They just raised a $25 million Series A, and they're taking on CodeRabbit and Graphite and Cursor Bugbot and Vercel Bugbot and the entire competitive space of code reviews. I've personally been using Greptile for a very long time. I find it to be the best. And man, with the new release, they're able to pick up on such nuanced things about your code base while reviewing your code, which is very, very cool. And I like the vision wherein he says, look, the person who's creating the code can't be the same harness that's used to review the code. Mm-hmm. That's like you writing an exam paper and correcting it yourself without a rubric. So I think their major focus is just code review, and nail that down. And I think a lot of their customers too have been looking on Twitter, but it's very cool, very positive feedback for their new release. Congratulations, Greptile.
Yeah. Really competitive space, and it's been fun to see so many companies like dabble in that kind of code review side of things.
Yeah. So pretty interesting time to be in the space. Gemini 3.0 coming out soon, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Everything is changing so fast. So excited for the next week.
Yeah, what's coming up this week? Well, there's a Supabase event on Friday.
They're going to make some crazy announcements there, I know. I mean, I don't know if it's open invite or not, but...
No, it's not, but I think it's going to be live streamed.
Okay.
They have a pretty solid roster of speakers coming up.
There's that Salesforce event, Dreamforce 2.
Dreamforce 2 in SF this week. Big week. And you never know. OpenAI might launch 3 or 4 more products by the time we meet again.
Yeah. I think with that news, we could wrap up our first podcast. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Well, agents are now spending your money.
Go make some money.
But yeah, awesome. Just subscribe to us, follow us, wherever you're watching this. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll be launching a newsletter, so subscribe to that. And if any of you are in SF and want to get on this podcast, just hit us up and we can get things going.
Yeah, and if you have any requests, any things you'd like us to do differently, give us all the feedback. We'd be very, happy to incorporate your feedback. But yeah, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Silicon Diet.